Really. Anyway, this is Chuck's 32nd birthday. So would you all please sing Happy Birthday to Chuck? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Charlie. Happy birthday to you. Did I hear some of you say Chucky? Now, the next thing I would like to have you all do, I just listened to the weather forecast. Would you all kind of close your eyes just for a second and then say, no rain. Think positive. They say that Saturday and Sunday, tomorrow is the iffy day. Saturday and Sunday are supposed to be cool and very dry. As we do every year, I would like to introduce the lovely ladies that are in attendance with us. Marjorie Banks. Roxy Campanella. Mary Ann Roberts. Barbara Robinson. Bev Snyder. And my Fran Wellman. Shirley Williams. Henny Sharfman. And Peggy Wilhelm. Now, as has been a custom that we've been doing in the camper, starting over at this table, I want you to start. Each man get up, give loud and clear your name, where you're from, and what. Warren Spahn! Hey, there he is! Starting over in that table. Start right out there, give your name, where you're from, and why you're here. Go ahead.
Where? What table? Not you, Spahn. You!
No. You're out, Warren. Go ahead.
I'm Warren Spahn.
All right.
John Hahn from San Francisco. This is a gift from my wife.
Good. Next.
Mike Kessler, LA, gift from my wife.
Dallas, and I'm going to kill the guy who gave me the gift. Chuck Scarelli, New Jersey, these 3 days, drag you up.
Next table.
From Longwood, Florida. My wife sent me here as a gift, but she also sent me here because she knew Harmon Killebrew would forget his twins hat. So I brought one for her.
Okay, that's it. I'm Bill Gross, and I'm from Los Angeles. I'm part of the Federal Witness Relocation Program. I'm here for a week. Incognito is a baseball player.
I'm Rich Lisberg from West Los Angeles, and my wife gave it to me for her 45th birthday. And what she doesn't know is it'll probably be my 46th, my 47th. She knows it.
Leroy Sparks, Michigan, North Dakota. I love baseball and wanted to meet a couple of my Brooklyn Dodger heroes, well, Duke Schneider, Don Drysdale, and Roy Campanella especially.
My name is David Watson. I'm from Bedford, Texas.
and it should have went this way because I'm here for 2 reasons. I absolutely love baseball, and this man right here has been my hero for life. Give us time.
I'm Randy Wolbeck from Yardley, Pennsylvania. Here is a gift from my family for my birthday that it was one that I really asked for.
Frank?
I'm Frank Jacobson from Villa Park, California, and I'm here to find out who the girls called the little dude.
The little dude's not here right now. Next.
I'm Ted Kramer from St. Petersburg, Florida, and this is a 40th birthday gift from my wife.
Barry Besher, Warwick, Rhode Island. This is my 3rd time down here trying to sell the Dodgers Gibson knives.
I'm Walt Benson from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I ski a lot in the winter and I come down here to get out of the cold.
Well, on behalf of the Dodgers and the Hall of Famers, we thank all of the wives and girlfriends to send you guys here. Give yourselves a hand. Tomorrow's schedule at 9:45 in Holman Stadium, Vero Beach will play Sarasota. Sarasota's the home team. In the afternoon, San Antonio plays Great Falls and Bakersfield plays Albuquerque. Now, for today's game, I'm going to call up the managers to present some awards and talk a little about their win or their loss. One thing that really made my heart pump out there today was to see Les Lewis and Norman Kent, a couple of our veteran players, do a rundown play that we're going to do in the next day or so with just one toss. You guys did a great job on that. Now, my heart was just going like that, Norm. Really. I didn't think you were going to make it to third base, but you got there. Very good. All right, I'd like to call up the manager of the Albuquerque Club. Lou Brock.
Yeah, all right, Lou. Yeah.
Which one is yours, Lou? What you got?
Well, on behalf of the Albuquerque Ball Club, we got off to a shaky start today. We were down 2-0. We came back. However, we had 5 hits in the first 2 innings and did not get a man to third base. In fact, the second inning, and in fact, in the second inning, we had a man lead off the inning with a triple. The next man hit a double, and we didn't score. Our next hitter hit a single, and we didn't score. But 2 innings later, we put together 8 runs in 1 inning. However, we had a lot of heroes out there, particularly our shortstop, Dan Meister, who did tremendously well. We also, from Jerry Fitzpatrick, he did a commendable job around second base with great hitting. But the man who kept us in the ball game, he was a one-man act. He played left field, and he actually just single-handed defeated Ernie Banks' team. They hit line drives all over the place, but this man was there. They hit him against the fence, he leaped and got him. Little blooper behind shortstop, he was there. Down the left field line, he was there. Diving plays over left center field, he was there. So our Potato Head Award goes to none other than I won't even call his name because I asked him a question prior to the game. I did not see this man hit, and I said, can you hit? He said, well, I don't really know whether I can hit or not. I said, when you play baseball, what position do they bat you in? He said, oh, 4th or 5th. So he is our 5th place hitter, Kerry Sarnoff. How about for the Potato Head Award? All right. Hey, congratulations. Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right, take the box too, Kerry. Who's the box for
Hey,
that?
Lou, you can teach us how to run the bases tomorrow, aren't you?
It wasn't me.
To explain to the people that are new here, these are called the Potato Head Awards, and we started this in the first camp that we ever had. We had a trainer by the name of Paul Padilla, and he had a head exactly like that. He was with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was one of the trainers on the big league club. He started this with the Dodger team, and anytime they had some success, which has been a little tough in the last few years, but when they had success, they gave out an award, the winning award, to the guy that did the best job, and so we've carried it on. It's called the Annual Potato Head Award. So we'll have the next manager come up and present it to the San Antonio Club, Hoyt Wilhelm.
Hey!
Here it is.
Okay, our team, we started out pretty good today, and the thing that really killed us was that one big inning. So guys, just hang in there. There's never been a team that won them all, so just remember that. Things are going to be all right. I like the looks of our team. The only one problem, tomorrow, I want a guard to keep Ernie on the field, okay? Keep Ernie out of the stands, on the field, and help us a little bit. Ernie, where are you? Ernie, how you feel? All right. But we'll be all right tomorrow. I don't have to worry about this team. The guy today got a couple base hits and made a good relay throw in on one of those guys trying to score. We got him out at home plate. Our potato head winner today is Ned Price.
All right.
First time I ever won anything. Gee.
There you go, Ned. See, you never know what might happen. Thank you.
The Vero Beach and Bakersfield game was really a good ball game over here in this field. At one time, the one team was down as ahead 6-0, but I don't know what happened to the pitching after that. Who's the pitching coach you got, Billy?
We got Drysdale.
Oh, Don Drysdale. Oh, I see. Okay. That explains it. For the manager for the Vero Beach Club, Billy Williams. Which one was yours? Huh? Which one was yours?
Okay. My name is Billy Williams, and I'm here for one reason. I heard Ernie been taking all the abuse by not being in the World Series, and I want to share my half of it. Okay? Ernie, I'll take the other 50%. You take the other. We didn't get in the World Series, but we enjoyed it, pal. Our game, as Whalen say, our game over there on the Diamond 1, we were ahead 6-0. And until our pitching broke down, I think they came on, they got a lot of hits, and we made a couple errors. And we just got to know tomorrow when to take that pitcher out. But we enjoyed it, and of course it's always good to come down here. I know I've heard a lot about this camp, this ultimate fantasy camp, and it was a thrill to come down and just enjoy the things that went on down here. And of course, going into that game today as we lost, it reminds me of a thing that one of the Hall of Famers said, Yogi Berra, the game's never over until it's over. And I want my team to think about that. Because if we're ahead tomorrow, we want to play 9 innings, not 5. But an individual who won our Potato Head Award today, he came up to me today. Maybe I was a little sentimental because he told me he was from Oklahoma. And when I left home in 1956, that was one of my first stops in a little town called Ponca City, Oklahoma. I was hoping he won, which he did. And his name is, let me find his name here.
back there.
Yeah. It's Gene Cheatham. He was my designated hitter today. He didn't get a chance to get on the field because of he being 63 years old, and he swung the bat. I always was offensively minded, and he swung the bat well, and he got a couple of hits today, swung the bat real well, and he made some good coaching moves at first base. He sent my runners down to second base to get in scoring position. So, Gene, you're the winner. Thank you.
For the winning team, Bakersfield manager, Warren Spahn. Is Warren here? Oh, okay.
Enjoy it. Bonnie, don't give him the screwball now.
Get him, Scotty.
My name is Warren Spahn. I come from Hartshorn, Oklahoma, and I hated the damn Dodgers until they brought me here and paid me. And I've been in this camp for like 3 years, and I think each year it's gotten more exciting and enjoyable because of you guys. And when we had the draft today, I thought we had the most horseshit club.
Don't hold anything back, Warren. Tell it like it is.
But then I had a great coaching staff. You know, Mr. Bob Gibson is my pitching coach. Stand up, Bob. And the greatest asset we had is John Alvarez that pitched against us. Where's John?
Joe Alvarez.
Joe. Well, the reason I call him John is because, can you imagine my coach pitching to my guys, and he had a no-hitter going for 4 innings. But I was truly amazed because these people performed superbly. You know, they might have been like the Dodgers emblem, that they played that well. And we played superb on the defense. We hit the ball too hard to get base hits, but then we learned from the other club, and we started to hit soft line drives. And we came from a 6-run deficit to win the ball game in the late innings. And I'm very proud of these guys, and I'm very proud of my coaching staff. However, tomorrow's another day. And it was pretty tough to determine the guy that was going to get the Potato Head Award. There were so many people, and in fact, the guy that drove in the winning run didn't get this award. But I felt that the guy that won't have a chance again for this award Hey, wait a minute. He made a sensational catch in the first inning. He got 3 hits, drove in 3 runs, and I think it's very fitting that Barry Beecher gets the Potato Head Award.
I've been looking for this for 3 years.
All right. Good.
Thanks a lot, Barry.
Congratulations. Do it tomorrow.
You better believe it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, for the last game, for the losing manager, the Great Falls Club, Robin Roberts.
I'm Robin Roberts, and I came because Mary wants to come here every year. We enjoy it very much. Barry, those knives really work. We lost today. I didn't know what the score was. We had 2, and they had more than that. We had a meeting with our coaching staff on the Potato Head Award, and after the game, Chico Fernandez, our coach, took our infield out and worked with him, and we almost chose one of those guys. But the winner is a guy that caught the whole game for us. He didn't catch many. Catfish was throwing him kind of easy, but he did stay back to the whole game. David Watson. Thank you, God.
And for the Sarasota Club, Frank Robinson.
I tell you, it was tough. And after being here previous 2 years and not having very much success, today just went to my head. I must say that, not like Spunny, I give my staff a lot of credit. We had an outstanding draft. We got every player we wanted. And then the staff took them out and just worked with them and did a superb job of getting them ready for the game. The manager did an outstanding job of making out the lineup. Catfish did an outstanding job of hitting our bats. And if the guy hadn't held back, I'd have gave the award to him. But really, we had 15 men on my team, and I must say that all 15 really deserved to be the Potato Head winner for the Sarasota Club. And I had about 3 hours before dinner to decide, really, and I spent every one of those hours pacing the room, trying to decide which one. We played very superbly, very outstanding defensive baseball today. The only mistake we made, and I could not get upset with it, because both men was hustling. So when you make a mistake hustling, you cannot get on your players. The ball dropped, it didn't hurt us. Everyone hit the ball well. Robbie had 2 runs, as he said. I'll tell him how many the other team had. It was 13. It was a great offensive day. The cork bats worked very well. Tomorrow we have to start scuffing the ball. But every one of my players, I mean this sincerely, they played very well today. We caught the ball, we threw the ball, we ran the bases, we hit the ball. But I just want to let them know we have the early game tomorrow. Don't get too cocky. It starts tomorrow for real because the other guys will be throwing the ball. And 9:45 game, I will be checking to make sure you're in your rooms tonight. But sincerely, this gentleman got a couple of hits, and it was tough because we had 2 players to get 3 hits and driving some runs. Everybody got hits today, but he played outstanding defense at 2 different positions, and a very important position was shortstop. He moved over to third base. And all other 14 men on the club are Potato Head winners tonight. But the other ones also will have about 4 or 5 more shots at winning this award. Roger Hupton. Come on up here, Roger. Nice one. There you go.
Here, Roger. Here's the box.
Take the box.
Take the box. All right, tonight's discussion, and we're going to try to hold these discussions so that they don't go into the long hours at night, keep you guys from either going out or going back to the lounge or going home to the room to rest. My wife said she has learned more about hitting in 10 camps here than she really wants to know. But anyway, Duke, we're going to start. Can you believe the hitters that we've got here, the type of hitters that can talk about hitting on the major league level here? Think. Duke Snyder, Billy Williams, Harmon Killebrew, Ernie Banks, Lou Brock, Frank Robinson, and Warren Spahn. Now where could you... I mean, there are some hitters. Did I mention Roy Campanella? Did I leave Roy off? Well, Campy knows I wouldn't want to leave him off that list. But there are some hitters. So, Duke, would you come up here, please, and start this off? And if you guys have any questions, please raise your hands and ask them. Remember what I said, don't leave this camp without having all of your questions answered.
You guys laugh, but Spahn could hit, believe me. He hit a few out of Ebbets Field, Wrigley Field, you name it. But we have other pitchers here that were good hitters also. Don Drysdale. I don't know about Catfish. I don't think he got a chance to hit much. But I bet he could hit. He did hit?
How about Bob Gibson?
But, well, I haven't gotten down there yet. Spahn and then Gibson on this list. But Bob was a real good hitter. In fact, Bob taken batting practice one night, and the Dodgers were in town, and we were kind of counting on winning the pennant. Bob took a swing, or pitch was thrown close to him, and he's trying to get out of the way and had new spikes on and fell and broke his ankle and couldn't pitch that night, and it just broke us up laughing. We said, well, we just can't catch a break, can we? So Kurt Simmons came in to pitch, and he beat us that day, and the following Sunday he beat us, and in '62 in Los Angeles, we finished in a tie with the Giants, and I think you Dodger fans know what happened in the playoffs. We got beat. But basically, I agree with all the managers and coaches that the hitting is tremendous. The guys are really approaching the ball exceptionally well. And Don, don't feel bad. You remember the horse you bet on down at Gulfstream track named Orion, I believe the name of it was? He was 6 lengths in front coming around the far turn. 6 seems to be your bad number, doesn't it? Don had a few dollars on this horse. He's leading by 6 coming around the far turn at Gulfstream, and the horse decided to bolt to the outside fence, jump the fence, run out into the parking lot. But I guess we jinxed you, Don, coming over there. Kind of like to see you win once in a while. But we have just a great array of talent here, and I would like to talk just a little bit about hitting. We don't have a bat here, but I think we can cover that basically at the batting cages. Tomorrow we're going to start working on the tee, and Ernie, you have 4 fellows on your club that I think should come over to the tee. I saw some of your game, that 8-run inning, I just saw about half of it. I was talking to a couple of Cub fans sitting next to me. Arthur Webster, we've got to have him over there tomorrow, and Richard Visveri, Tony Mendel, and William Morse, those 4 fellas, I'd like to have on the tee tomorrow. But golly, at both games that I saw today, everybody's going up there and swinging the bat pretty good, and I don't see any reason to over-instruct. When you can go up and swing the bat the way you guys are swinging, why, I think the main thing is to keep swinging the way you swung the bats today, because there were a lot of runs scored and some very good swings. Now, Junior Marquez has been here quite a few times, been to this camp, and I think Junior is one of the campers that has really shown how much he has learned at these camps, because I was watching him today, and I remember back to his first camp down here, and Junior wasn't too sure of him in the batter's box, too sure of himself in the batter's box, and boy, he gets up there now, and he looks like a leadoff man should look going up to bat. but he's not big in stature. He's kind of a small man, and one of the things we have to learn as hitters is that if you're not real strong, you'll have warning track power. And warning track power is usually caught. And Junior went for the fences the first couple of times up there today, and he hit that high 330-foot out one time, and popped one up to left field the next time. Well, Junior had a little bit of a lift in his swing. Now tomorrow we're going to have the tees over at the cages, and we're going to try and teach a few of you how to hit the ball sharply on the line and not have that lift in your swing like, let's say, some of the home run hitters in the big leagues have. Ernie had a lift in his swing. Campy had a lift in his swing. I had a lift in mine. Lou didn't have a lift. He was a line drive type hitter and utilized his speed. Billy lifted once in a while. Billy Williams lifted the ball once in a while, but he basically was a pure sweet hitter and hit the ball on the line most of the time. And I managed to play against all these Hall of Famers here, except for Catfish. He's the only one that I did get to see play on television, but I've hit against all these pitchers. And you fellows, what you got to do while you're here is to pick the brains of these guys and try and find out everything you want about the game of baseball, because the vast knowledge and the tremendous talent that these gentlemen have had, I did eliminate Frank Robinson when I was talking about lift. He lifted a lot of them over our heads and into the seats, and it wasn't too much fun when he came to the plate. And I told this story last year, but those of you who weren't here, Don Drysdale was asked to walk Frank Robinson intentionally in the Coliseum one night with first base open and 2 outs. And Don was getting a little bit tired, so he decided he would plug Frank in the ribs with the first pitch so he wouldn't have to waste 4. That makes sense to me, I'll tell you. No wonder you were so mean, Frank. But we have a lot of fun down here, and I sure enjoy coming down. And I would like to mention one thing before we get a little further along in the hitting, that the 19th of this month, my roommate, and most of you know of Carl Erskine, is going to have hip surgery. He's going to have a plastic hip put in his, I believe it's his right hip, but I'm not sure if it's right or left. It's not all that important. It's just going to be, it's going to happen. And if you get a chance, I'll say a little prayer for Carl Erskine, who's going in that surgery the 19th, okay? So first of all, we're going to talk about the line drive hitter. We're going to have the line drive hitter, Lou Brock, come on up. Lou?
A moment ago, all the fellows walked up and introduced themselves. I wear number 20. I wore number 20. They retired that number. And Frank Robinson wore number 20. He wanted it simply because I had it. And contrary to what Duke said, I had a lift too. It did reach the running track. But when you talk about a line drive hitter, which we'll get into, unlike most of the home run hitters, the line drive hitters you can tell. In fact, if you go to a ballpark, and you want to know what a line drive hitter looks like, you want to know what his uniform looks like, his shoulders. When the line drive hitter swings the bat, when he finishes up, it always hits the shoulders. And you look at a Pete Rose, there's a mark right there. I had one right there, right on the shoulder where the bat ends up at. The home run hitters have a tendency to lift their arm above the shoulder, so they never have that. So you can walk in the ballpark and say, that guy's a line drive hitter, he lifts the ball, etc. But hitting is a matter of attitude. There are 3 physical factors involved in hitting: you, the pitcher, and the ball. One of the other areas, before we get to describe the physical element in hitting, mental toughness happen to be one of the trademarks of all good players. That is, I can outlast you in any given situation. Therefore, if you take the mental approach that I'm going to outlast you in this situation, then you have to analyze those three physical factors that are pertinent to hitting. The pitcher, the ball, and me. The pitcher released the ball, and there's only two physical factors involved, me and the ball. Then the question becomes, who's the toughest man, me or the ball? Well, I know I'm tougher than the ball because the ball's a little, something about that big, 4.5 inches round, sure is thrown 95 miles an hour, and we equate that to the speed of a car. But that car we equate it to is something weighs about 4,000 pounds that coming up there. But this ball weighs 4.5 ounces. So it's just a little white car that can hit you. It doesn't hurt. So therefore, the physical element becomes how tough can you be? And a hitter has all the option once the pitcher releases the ball. Don Drysdale can fire a baseball towards home plate. Once he released the ball, he cannot do a recall. He cannot say, stop ball, come back here, let me throw you again. The catcher who sat right underneath my arm, he too cannot exercise any option until the hitter had exercised all of his options. And I got a ball at that point. There might be 27 million watching on TV, another 40,000 in the stand. I am the only person who could exercise an option on that pitch. And what are my options? You got your turn, Spunny. You didn't know how to exercise your option. That's why you became a pitcher. What is my option? Look at the pitch, spit at the pitch, turn my back to it, swing it and miss, swing and hit it if I dare to. But these are the instrument that gives the hitter what I call the advantage on a thrown pitch. One of the factors that causes us to go outside of our element is something called the strike zone. Strike zone normally is in the mind of the hitter. The mind of the hitter sometimes is high, wide, or stretched, and those guys who have a good idea of the strike zone, like a Billy Williams and a Frank Robinson, they can really contract the strike zone. So the approach to hitting is one that is mental toughness, that I can outlast this pitcher in any given situation. The other factor is once you release the ball, you can't do a recall. Because you can't do a recall, you have a chance to exercise your option. These are some of the small elements that allow line drives hitters to move around in the box. We are, as line drives hitters, we use all kind of bats. We do not stick with just one bat. We'll move around the box as well as anybody. First time up, you might have a short bat. The next time, you might have a long bat. The fact is that you do not want to become predictable. Frank Robinson calls me a Judy. You know what a Judy is? A punch-in Judy. Punch-in Judies prior to around 1967 were guys who were driving Chevrolets and riding bicycles to ballparks. Home run hitters, you know what a home run hitter is? Is a rally killer. You get a rally going, the little line drive hitters get a couple of bends on bases and the rally's going, the pitcher's worried. Here comes Frank Robinson up, hits the ball out of the ballpark, kill the rally. So we as line drive hitters decided that we would do something about that. We're going to force baseball to glorify the single hitter. So we brought into the league a guy like Pete Rose, Rod Carew, Lou Brock, Frank. And we began to hit line drives. And line drives. And they began to pay us like we were home run hitters. We began to go to the stadium and driving our Cadillacs. So you can see that the line drive hitters has an important role. And that is to get on base, to fight your way on any way you can, and hopefully to be in position when a guy like Ernie Banks, Frank Robinson, or Duke Snyder come to bat, because we really make them look good. Thank you.
A guy can do both things and do them well. Hit line drives, hit the ball out of the ballpark. Billy Williams. Come up, please.
Thank you, Duke. I was considered a line drive hitter playing in Wrigley Field, And there was times that I was asked, not really asked, but knowing the situation, knowing that I had to hit the ball out the ballpark. In that respect, I was kind of considered as a home run hitter and a line drive hitter. I think over the years you found that most hitters hitting third in the lineup, they was aware of that, and they had to do two jobs. When he was that individual had to get on base to hit a double to get in scoring position with 2 outs, he did that. In the latter part of the ball game, if you had to hit the ball out the ballpark to get on base, had to score a winning run, you would do that. So I think, I was kind of 2 hitters in one. And working with Roger Hunsby, I think one of the most important things Roger Hunsby talked to me about is the strike zone. And Lou mentioned it. At that time, I don't know where the strike zone is now. I went to the American League, and there were times that they say the strike zone had gotten a little higher. But in talking to Roger Hunsby in the years of 1956, 57, when I went to spring training, the strike zone was from your armpit to your knees over home plate, which is 17 inches wide. We continue getting the numbers about the game, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on as I get into the talk. But when I first came to the big league, I worked on that as an individual who could put the ball in play. Because in the minor league, when I played at AAA was my last stint as playing in the minor league. When I first came to the big league, a little keynote is John Holland, who was then the general manager, I stole 15 bases. Lou, I was a base stealer too when I was in the minor league. But when I came to the big league, John Holland told me, if you get a base hit, make sure you stay on first base where Ernie could hit the ball out the ballpark. They didn't want to have any chances getting thrown out at second base. But I think there's, in tennis you have fundamentals, okay? In golf you have fundamentals. So I worked with the fundamentals of hitting. And in talking to Roger Hunsby, I had some traits as a hitter in playing in the minor league. The fundamentals I work with is making sure you accept and choose the right bats comfortable to you. Contrary to what is said throughout the years, the heavier the bat, it don't make the ball go farther. I think if you have the bat speed, I've seen a lot of that today. If you get the bat through the sack zone with great velocity and the bat speed, you hit the ball a long way. And over the years, I've found out that Ernie Banks, Frank Robinson, Henry Aaron, Willie Mays, all of those individuals who hit over 400 or 500 home runs, they were guys not of big stature, but they had great timing. They had great timing. They saw the ball, they react to the ball. You see now, Don Mattingly, he have good swings, and it's been said to me over the years, do you know what's coming? I say, no, I don't know what's coming. I see the ball, I react to the baseball. If you concentrate, see the baseball, you react to the baseball, and you have good swings. You don't swing at the pitcher's motion, you swing at the baseball. And those fundamentals I talk about, I still teach them, because sometime throughout the year, as a major leaguer, all these particular individuals in here, Hall of Fame players, have gone through a period of the season. We come to the plate 600 times. And through those 600 times, there are times the baseball look this big as a basketball. But there are times the baseball look like an aspirin tablet because you're not seeing the ball. The first reaction, you pick up the ball from the pitcher. I visualize a circle or a box from the pitcher's hand. This is the only thing I see when a pitcher began to release the ball. I form an imaginary circle around the pitcher's hand. And that's the only thing I see. Kansas City used it over in their organization, and it's considered tunnel vision. This is what you work on as a hitter. And a lot of things is concentration. You use that bat, you get a bat that's comfortable to you, you get a bat. When you use this bat, it's a little keynote here. talking to Roger Hansberry and learning from the years, you're not too tense. You're not too tense here when you grip the bat. It's only enough to keep the bat from slipping down in your hand. The only time you really firm up the grip is when you're beginning to make contact. When you're beginning to make contact with the baseball. Now, as the pitcher, the rule of thumb, and you'll see it if you watch any hitter on your ball club, as the pitcher begins to release the ball, he will start the motion. He will start the motion. He will in turn throw your hands back. And every hitter should have 4 to 6 inches where he takes his hand back to release it, the bat head. Every hitter has that. All these Hall of Famers here. And as you watch the game throughout the year, you will see a hitter as he hit. As the pitcher comes to this point, he will throw the hitter's hand back. And by doing that, you will set on the back leg. You will continue to bring your weight back. You will set on the back leg. And as the ball enter into the strike zone, you will have your weight back. And from that point, you will throw the head of the bat through the baseball. Of all the years playing in Chicago, Ernie and I used to talk a lot about the art of hitting. And all you want to do as a pitcher, release the ball as the ball enters into the strike zone. Your eyes, the baseball, and the bat should all come in one general area. And as you see, as I said, throughout the year, as they stop the camera, and you see the good hitters, when they make contact with the baseball, the eyes, the bat, and the baseball is all in one general area. It's just like hitting a golf ball. They said, you hit the golf ball and we will watch it. We will watch the baseball. You don't watch it, let the other guys watch it. And I think throughout the year, if you continue doing that, if you continue to teach that, I think you get a lot of more guys putting the ball in play. And I think over the years, I've found that there's only one guy over the years who have hit 400, who have won batting titles, a guy that strictly pulls the ball. I like to advocate using the whole field. Frank Robinson was a pull hitter. Lou Brock was a spray hitter. Ernie Banks was a semi-pull hitter. He would hit the ball in the right field. I think later on in his career, Ernie hit the ball in the right field. But all instructors, all hitting instructors, advocate using the whole field. Hit the ball the other way. And in doing this, you will hit the ball, you will stay with the ball longer. And just those fundamentals, you want to get the bat away from you. Okay, as the pitcher releases the ball, you will take your hands back. As the ball enters into the strike zone, you will throw the head of the bat. Okay? And you will hit. Don't fall back on your heels. Don't fall back on your heels. And as Lou mentioned, all the line drive hitters will wind up with the bat hitting them on the shoulder. And there are several books that you see all the good hitters, the line drive hitters, and that's what happens. They wind up here. But there are times, you have some guys who lift the ball. There's one area that you could hit the baseball if you're a lift hitter. You pass the ball right here. If you're not lined up, I like to see those guys who leave the bat in the hitting area, in the strike zone. They start here. As I take my hands back, I'm going to release the bat head right here. And I could get a base hit here, I could get a base hit here, I could get a base hit all around here. And as you make your move to the pitcher, you want to stay on your toe, stay on your front toe. You don't want to hit on your heel, because I saw a lot of players like Don Kessinger, when he was having his tough time, he would fall back off the ball and he'd hit a lot of fly balls to left field. But when you stay over the ball, if you're hitting the ball good, you will have a tendency to feel your body being over top of the baseball. And that when you hit down on the ball and the ball have a tendency to carry a little bit. So those are the kind of things I try to teach. Those are the kind of things I try to advocate. And those are things I try to do as a hitter. Okay? So that's good. Thank you.
Billy?
Hold it, we got a question here. Hold it.
You start your motion back at as the pitcher releases the ball?
Right, right. Not as he releases it. As the pitcher come in this manner.
Okay, so before the pitcher releases it,
As the pitcher come right here, he will in turn throw your hands back. And what you're doing is sitting on the back leg, being ready to strike. All guys, if you look at baseball, if they stop the camera, if a ball is thrown towards home plate, a hitter would go back. The pitcher will in turn throw the pitcher's hand back. And every hitter goes back 4 to 6 inches. He's set on the back leg, and from that moment he drives to the pitcher, and he throws the head of the bat. And I'm looking at hitters. I'm looking at Ernie. Ernie wasn't a big guy in stature, as I mentioned. Ernie was small up top, but he used his total body to hit the ball out the ballpark. And I like to, look at that and use that as an instruction tool. Yes.
Are you really saying basically the same thing as Charlie Lau was teaching, and that is you let the bat go ahead of your weight transfer?
Wait a minute. Let's kind of define that. Okay. I'm not an advocate of letting one hand go. I think this is what Charlie Lau taught throughout the years. Yeah.
He does talk about letting the bat precede your weight shift to the front.
Sure. This is the thing. If you notice all the teaching of Charlie Lau, it's the same thing what you want to do as a hitter. When Charlie Lau came at this point, he would take the whole body back. And in my teaching, I would just try to just set, with your body, just put more weight on the back leg. Put more weight on the back leg, but you move your body too much. Okay, you just take your hands back. And what you want to do when you release the bat, you want to throw the head of the bat through the baseball.
Still with the weight on the back foot.
On the back foot. As you make your approach to the baseball, of course, you release it. And it's another rule of thumb. If I could show you, I like the demonstration I use in keeping the weight back. I will have a hitter to draw an imaginary line right in the middle of his body. And he want to stay pretty close to that line when he make contact with the baseball. Because this is how you guard against a changeup and the curveball. If you stay behind that line, and almost as you begin to make contact with the baseball, if you're pretty close to that line, you'll have your weight back to drive the baseball. Yes?
Really two things. Can you talk a little bit more about how you get the bat speed you're talking about? And number two, you talked about using all the whole field, but if you're going to hit to the opposite field, it seems like you don't want the bat speed, or else you're not going to be able to hit it there.
Well, you want the bat speed. You want the bat speed. Okay. In using the whole field, a lot of times it's dictated by where the ball is pitched. A lot of times you have to take what the pitcher give you. Okay. And if you're in certain situation, if that particular player can hit the ball out the ballpark, then you want to go for it. The only way you can hit a ball out the ballpark if you get the ball inside. You go to two strikes, and then you have to take what the pitcher give you. If you're hitting in that portion of the lineup, because 3, 4, 5 hitter, they're capable of hitting the ball out the ballpark. That's why the manager have you there. He wants you to get that 4th and 5th time at the plate. He feels you can hit the ball out the ballpark. And a lot of times it's dictated by where the pitchers pitch. And this is what you want to do. Yes?
Spahn said this afternoon that you were an easy out. And was he one of the toughest pitchers you faced?
I saw in the defense of Juan Spahn, when I came to the big league, I'm facing a guy I used to read about a long time ago.
Guy Willman used to read about him a lot.
And when I came to the big league in 1959, I think, Spahn, you had about 15 years in the big league at that time, or 20. Which one was it? But I know I could see the greatness of a Juan Spahn, because as a hitter, when I came up, I know that Spahn had real good control. He could put the ball just where he wanted to, and I think one of the biggest things, Spahn got left right-handed hitters out real well because he had the screwball. He had the screwball. And he will have a lot of right-handed hitters being off balance, and this is what you want to do as a pitcher. I think the key to pitching and key to getting good hitters out is having the control and keep the hitter off balance. Catfish Hunter had that kind of control. Put the ball where he wanted. My teammate Ferguson Jenkins had that kind of control. But as I mentioned, I came to the big league at the tail end of Warren Spahn's career. And I was playing in that particular ball game where Warren Spahn won his 300 game. We playing the Milwaukee Braves in Milwaukee. And Warren Spahn won his 300 ball game. And as I mentioned, I could see where he was the great pitcher that he was because he had the control. He had the control, enable him to put the ball where he wanted to get good hitters out. But he was a great pitcher. I had a tough time, and don't say that. Don't say it. We might get in the old timers game, and he might knock me down. You know. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. But it's just nice to be down here, and just nice to talk a little bit about hitting. I know I could get a lot of fundamentals about it, but we want you guys to have fun and just enjoy yourself down here. Thanks a lot.
Time is always slipping by, so we're going to have one more gentleman come up, and it'll be Harmon Killebrew. Okay, Killer. Warren, remember when you threw hard, had a good overhand curve and a great straight change? No screwball?
That was in my memory.
What the hell was Lou Brock talking about, dude? Guys seem awfully complicated to me about this hitting thing. I like to just kind of go under the old KISS formula. Keep it simple, stupid. And I think that's the way you have to approach hitting. The last year that I was playing, and I think maybe I told this story, last year I was signing some autographs outside the dugout in Anaheim. And there was a big kid and a little kid there, and I was signing an autograph for the big kid. And the little kid nudged the big kid and he said, "Who's that?" And the big kid turned to the little kid and he said, "That's Killebrew." And the little kid said to the big kid, he said, "Can he hit?" And the big kid turned to the little kid and he said, "He used to be able to." Kind of the way I feel tonight and listening to these guys here. I'm a little confused about my hitting. You know, hitting is a very technical thing. Ted Williams, who I consider the greatest hitter of all time, said that hitting a baseball is the single most difficult thing to do in all of sports. And I really think that's probably true. And when you have to hit against guys like Warren Spahn and Don Drysdale and Catfish Hunter and Bob Gibson, guys like that, Robin Roberts, I'll tell you, you know that hitting a baseball is a very difficult thing to do. But I think you have to keep it simple. And that's what I tried to do. You know, all the guys here tonight are Hall of Famers. And when I finished playing baseball, I went into television broadcasting, and I never thought about statistics too much when I was playing baseball. Sure, all the guys knew how many home runs they hit. Frank Robinson knew how many home runs he hit. Lou Brock knew how many home runs he hit. Ernie Banks knew how many home runs he hit. And I did too, but some of the other statistics that I had were a little bit fuzzy in my mind. So I had to look them up. And I still have to look, and I wrote them down to know exactly what I did. I found out that I had 1,584 RBIs. I scored 1,283 runs. I got a little over 2,000 hits, and I played over 2,400 Major League ball games.
I found out also that I had 1,559 bases on balls, and then a stat that I'm not really proud of, and none of the hitters are proud of their strikeouts, but I found out that I had 1,699 strikeouts. And Mickey Mantle told me one time he wished that I played a couple more ball games because I'd beat his record, but Reggie Jackson, of course, has surpassed that, and nobody will ever catch Reggie in that stat. So if you put my walks and my strikeouts together, that's 3,258 times at bat. And if you consider now, Billy Williams said 600 times at bat. I think a player that plays every day maybe goes to bat 500 times in the season. Considering that's true, and you add my walks and my strikeouts together, that's a total of over 3,000 times at bat in my career. And that means that I went up to the home plate a total of 6 years and did absolutely nothing. Well, I don't know why Duke asked me to come up here and talk about hitting. But really, this is my third year here at the Ultimate Camp at Dodgertown. I'm delighted to be here. These guys are absolutely great. And we've got many of the guys that have been here several times, and I'm only happy if I can contribute to anything that will make your stay here more enjoyable. Thank you very much. There's one question, I guess.
Did you find that most of the pitchers, they probably could speak for better, but since all the big-time hitters hit so well, did you find that most of the pitchers had to throw, jump? They wouldn't just want to throw you a fastball, you'd murder it. Did you find that most of your percentage, you'd find a curve or slider, you wouldn't be a straight ball all the time, right?
No, absolutely not. I guess the single most question that's asked me, and I'm sure that some of the other guys here tonight will back that up, is who's the most difficult pitcher that you've ever faced? And I think I told this story last year too. I faced guys like Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax, who I think are two of the greatest pitchers I've ever faced. Guys like Warren Spahn, Denny McLain when he had great years, a Nolan Ryan who could throw the ball through the wall, Herb Score who had the best fastball that I've ever seen. But the guy that gave me more problems in baseball was a relief pitcher named Stu Miller. Now, we talked about this. Warren said we should invite him to the camp because he should be in the Hall of Fame because everybody talks about him. And you know, we talked about how scientific hitting is, and I had a lot of problems hitting Stu. The first time I saw him, he played in the All-Star game in 1961 in Candlestick Park. And he was blown off the mound, that's right. Took a stretch and blown off the mound. Stu was the first pitcher I ever saw to take a stretch on the mound with nobody on base. And now a lot of pitchers are doing that because they feel like they have better control, I guess. But anyway, Stu had great motion when he was taking the stretch. He'd throw his neck and his hip and everything at you, and the ball never seemed to get at home plate. Kind of like it was on a string. He'd throw it out there and kind of pull it back. And he was throwing a lot of slow curveballs at me, and I could never hit him. And I thought I'd try something very scientific. We're talking about how scientific hitting is, and Billy Williams went from A to Z to tell you about hitting, and I think that it was great, and I agree with everything Billy said. One of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. But I thought I'd try something very scientific. And we were playing in Minnesota in Metropolitan Stadium, the old ballpark there, and Stu was with the Baltimore Orioles at that time. And he took his stretch on the mound, and I thought, I'll just count to 3. That's really scientific, isn't it? I'll count to 3 and I'll swing and I'll see what happens. And sure enough, when he released the ball, I could tell it was a slow curve ball, and I went 1, 2, 3, and I swung and I hit a home run. This is honest to God's truth. I hit a home run. I said, Mr. Miller, I've got you now. I got one more base hit off of him. All the time he was with the Baltimore Orioles, he was there 5 years. And I only got 2 hits off of him. So that was the most difficult pitcher for me to face in the big leagues. Yes.
Over to 3,000 at-bats. Did you ever in your career ever bunt?
You know the answer. No. Never was called on to bunt.
So this is a question to all you Hall of Fame hitters. In baseball, if you're up 600 times, you get 200 hits, you're batted 333. 50 hits less and you're a 250 hitter. You guys always got the extra 50 hits. Most of the other ball players in the world never get those.
Not me. I didn't get them. I didn't get those extra 50 hits. Frank Robinson
Always
did.
got them on a continuous basis. You hit over 300, up around there, and other guys always hit 260 or 270. It's only 30 or 40 hits and 600 at bats. What's the difference? Why do you guys do it and no one else in the world do it?
Ask Frank Robinson. I don't know the answer. Or Duke Snyder. Duke?
Okay.
Thank you.
I think these fellows, that's why they're in the Hall of Fame. They were just exceptionally good hitters. Most of the power hitters strike out quite a bit. I used to say that every time I fought, I struck out, and now listen to Billy, I'm going to probably be thinking a lot more. I struck out some 1,200 and some times, and that's a lot of thinking. But basically, you fellows, we'll have you over on the tee tomorrow, and some of you, and the next 3 or 4 days, we'll have you, have most of you over there. And it's just the proper approach, good balance. Keep your head on the ball, keep your eyes on the ball. You can't hit what you're not looking at, and we saw quite a bit of that in the cages today, where some of the hitters were swinging and their head was flying off the ball, and you're not going to, if you don't see it, you won't hit it. And that's what we're going to be working on, basically, is just nice, solid contact, move the ball, because if you have warning track power, you don't want to hit those nice, lazy fly balls, because probably the easiest thing in the world is to catch a nice little lazy fly ball, except in Wrigley Field. Are there any other questions? Yes.
I've got to ask you personally one question. Somebody told me a story last week that I was unaware of. You threw your shoulder or your arm out trying to throw a ball out of Dodger Stadium?
No, that was the Coliseum in Los Angeles, yes. Don Zimmer, who is known to make a wager, this was the first year in the Coliseum in Los Angeles. I was born in Los Angeles, saw track meets there, football games, and never dreamed that there'd ever be a baseball game ever played in there. And I think the rows went up to about 102, something like that. And Zimmer made a bet with 3 or 4 of the Dodger players during batting practice that I could throw a ball out of the Coliseum. And he made a $400 bet, and he came over and talked to me and said, "You think you can do it?" I don't know, I'll try. I'll give her a go. He says, "I'll give you half of the action." So it was the left field where the screen was in the Coliseum, and loosened up a little bit, and the first one hit the concrete wall in back of row 102. So I gave a little extra on the next throw, and it just hit the very top of the wall. So I winked at Zimmer, and I said, "This is it." And I reared back and threw, and the ball slipped off my middle finger, and my elbow popped, and I was not able to throw anymore that particular day because of the elbow popping, and it started to swell a little bit, and it was very sore. So I went in, and also going on at that particular time, you saw the Olympics in the Coliseum, where the Olympic torch is down at the far end, the peristyle end of the Coliseum. Well, Ed Roebuck, one of our pitchers, was hitting fungos and trying to hit one over the Olympic torch. And he had a bet with somebody that he could hit a fungo one from shallow right field over that Olympic torch. Well, the people were coming in the peristyle end of the Coliseum, and they're all ducking all the balls that are being hit out there. And they're looking in the batting cage to see who hit that one. My word, what power that guy's got. It's about 900 feet. Well, anyway, Buzzy Bavasi, our general manager, got wind of what was happening, and he came charging into the clubhouse and started chewing everybody out. And he said somebody could get hurt. And I was in the lineup that night, and After the meeting was over, I went up to manager Olson. I says, Walt, Buzzy was right. I said, I hurt my elbow. I can't play tonight. So Buzzy come charging over to me, and he says, if you can't play tonight, you take your uniform off, take a shower, and go home. It cost you $200. Well, in those days, $200 was a lot of money. And I said, well, I'll play. If it's going to cost me $200, I'll play, but I can't throw. He says, no, you said you can't play, you go home. So I went home, listened to the game on the radio, and got the silent treatment from my wife after she heard what happened. Deb was on my case pretty good. And the next morning I got up, woke up, and I couldn't move my right arm. And went to the ballpark, stuck it in the whirlpool, because for $200 I was going to play, if whatever I was going to play. Well, the Coliseum had that short left field fence, and so Walt Alston was very nice to me, put me in left field. And wouldn't you know, I got 2 infield hits, and I couldn't run very well at the time because of knee surgery, and had to throw 2 runners out at the plate because they were trying to score all the way from first base on a single with me, because they knew I couldn't throw. Well, we kept the bed open. Last day of the season, loosened up real good and threw the ball out of the Coliseum on the first throw, and I got the 200 from Zimmer, and so I broke even. Then I went in to see Buzzy a little bit later in the winter, and he gave me the 200 back, so we did all right.
I don't know if this question has been asked, and maybe it's not appropriate, but most of us were very die-hard Brooklyn Dodger fans. How did the team feel when they moved to LA, in your estimation?
Well, that was a very trying time for the Brooklyn Dodgers, the players, let's say, because a lot of the players were getting to an age to where, well, Jackie had just retired rather than to go to the Giants. He was traded to the Giants. Jackie had retired. Campy had his misfortunes with his accident, and Pee Wee's back was bothering him. Ferrillo's legs were bothering him. Gil was having a few physical problems. I had knee surgery that winter, and we really weren't the same Brooklyn Dodgers anymore. And none of us wanted to leave Brooklyn because Ebbets Field was such a comfortable place to play. And we were very well received, of course, in Brooklyn. It was a family thing. And none of us wanted to leave. Drysdale Don came to the team in 1956. He's from Southern California. I'm from Southern California, and the team has to move somewhere. Why, well, let's go to LA. If we have to go, we have to go, but at least we're going home. So some of us, it was going home, but none of us wanted to leave. None of us wanted to leave Brooklyn. And I think the ball club definitely made a mistake in 1958 by not taking the team to Los Angeles and play a few games in the Coliseum before the season started. We opened in San Francisco, played 3 games there. They brought us into Los Angeles from San Francisco after the 3rd game, and we arrived at LAX, and they said, be at the Coliseum at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's a parade in downtown Los Angeles. There'll be no batting practice tomorrow, just infield practice when we get to the ballpark. Well, I'm from Los Angeles, and I don't know how to get into the dressing rooms at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. I don't even know where they are. I was lost like everybody else. The players found their way into the dressing room areas. I found my way in. We went to a parade, and we got to the Coliseum. We put our uniforms on in the dressing room area, got in cars, and had our parade in Los Angeles. We came back, and we walked through this tunnel where you see the football players charging out of that tunnel when they're being introduced before a football game. And all of a sudden, I see Mays coming towards me with a big smile on his face. And he says, Duke, he says, look what I've got to shoot at. And he pointed to that screen out in left field. And he says, man, he says, they have given you the shaft. He said, look out there, 440, 430, 420. So it was no picnic. We were all frustrated, and we finished, I think, in 6th place that year. But we won it the next year. They moved the fences in right field, and it made Rube Walker our catcher after Campy was injured. Rube was our starting catcher, and he hit 420-foot fly balls practically every game and was about 0 for 25. before he got himself a base hit, so it made him a coach. I think he went on and managed in the minor leagues. That's what it did to him. In fact, most managers did not play many of their left-handed hitters in the Coliseum that first year because the fences were ridiculous. Don's a good example. He threw sort of sidearm and buggy whipped out here with his delivery, and he said, I can see that fence out of the corner of my eye when I turn around to deliver the pitch. He says, I scrape my knuckles on that screen every time I throw a pitch. So it got to us, believe me. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, no, I think you're kind of acknowledging that playing in the Coliseum was sort of a caricature of the game. I wonder if Harmon, there's certainly been a lot of fun made of the Metrodome and the saran-wrapped right field. Do you consider that sort of an aberration of the game, what's being played in the Metrodome? Obviously they did it well.
I don't know. I've been asked that question about playing the Metrodome many times, and would I hit some home runs in there? And yeah, I probably hit a couple in there, but I think you only have to take a few trips with the ball club on the road in the spring of the fall and come back there, and it's about 30 degrees. It's a great place to play baseball inside. And, I think it's absolutely great to play baseball inside of Minnesota. A lot of northern cities really need, I think, indoor ballparks like that.
From a fan standpoint, it's great to watch a game inside. It's 40 degrees below zero outside. That's not baseball.
There's another question.
Another question? Yes.
Did you ever have the opportunity, well, either you or anybody else can comment on the opportunity of playing on artificial turf versus real turf, and what your feelings are toward it?
No, I retired in 1964, and I think the Astrodome opened the following year. And I think they had grass the first year.
What about Lou? Lou played on both.
Well, I think all these other fellows a little bit younger than I am have played on AstroTurf, and I know one thing. I'd love to have hit on AstroTurf, as I used to play pepper with the second baseman, and on grass fields, and with that AstroTurf, I wouldn't care how deep they played. If you hit the ball rather hard, consistently hard, you're going to get it by them on AstroTurf, where on grass you could see the ball in the spring of the year when they'd resawed a field, like Ebbets Field, for example, the Polo Grounds, Philadelphia, whatever, and you'd see the ball hit into that grass and back up and slow down so the infielders would have time to get to it. And it has to be much easier. Frank, how about hitting on AstroTurf?
I didn't do that much hitting on it.
You didn't?
No, not that much, because the only one that had it when I was playing was Astrodome, and I only got 1 year in '72 with the Dodgers. I don't like it. I didn't like it as a player. Physically, it was tough, especially I think on older players.
It's tough on the legs, right? But as far as hitting the ball per se, you hit the ball hard. You moved it hard.
I hit the ball there.
Yeah.
I wasn't a leg hitter like Lou.
Okay, Lou, how about AstroTurf?
I'll answer that question. Rick had a lot of legs early in his career. AstroTurf, dude, I was basically a fly ball, a line drive hitter until they brought in AstroTurf. And I became a line drive to a ground ball hitter. They really made me change the style of hitting. Because you're right, when you drill that ball into the turf often enough, it would happen. I think my batting average probably went up 5 to 8 points per year based on that. Because I had to take the ball out of the air, give up the home run, Frank. Frank, go for 4 base hits, and it probably worked. I got a lot of 200 hits.
He wants to put a 0 behind that 5 and that 8.
Well, it would have been fun to hit on AstroTurf, but talking to Mike Schmidt about playing on AstroTurf, he said it's really tough on the legs, and you can see why it would be. There's not all that much cushion involved, and it'd be tough to participate every day on AstroTurf, like just about like he does. But it's on those wet, slick days when a little bit of rain has come down, and you're facing a catfish hunter who has a real good sinker ball. Why, it's got to be a plus for a hitter to hit that ball and watch it scoot past those infielders, and you get a base hit. Any other questions? Okay, we'll listen to Mr. Banks and Mr. Campanella tomorrow night, I believe.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Duke is right. Tomorrow night, it is Mr. Banks and Mr. Campanella. So save your questions for the two of them tomorrow night. Have a good night. Thank you.